Hello, welcome back. It is so good to be with y'all today. We are super excited about what our teaching is today, because we're not teaching alone today. We may be sitting here alone, but we're getting ready to go into a clip by Dr. Dharius Daniels and Pastor Marcus Dudley. This was something they did. It has to do with communication. So if you've ever struggled in communication, in any relationship, but especially in this marriage relationship, you don't want to miss this teaching. It's like an aha moment. So they're going to do a 30-second clip, and then we're going to unpack that deeper and how it applies to us directly in our marriages. So I'm going to shut up, and we're going to let you see that clip now.
You're talking to people, you are talking to their filter. Now, what did he mean when he said filter? A filter is a compilation of emotions, experiences, and assumptions. Emotions that people feel, experiences that people have had, assumptions that people make that impact the way they interpret what you're saying.
Wow, that is awesome.
Whoa.
You know, he's talked about filters, but let's go a little bit deeper. Let's first define, what is a filter? Because we all have filters.
That's important.
A filter is a lens through which we, of which our spouse receives, and interprets what is actually being said.
True.
Quite frankly.
True.
You know, and it's almost similar to it is similar to an AC filter that we have in our homes, or HEPA filters in a hospital. The whole point of a filter is refining, removing particulate matters in the air. Okay, just like our brains, we want to remove bad things maybe that happened in the past from our mind.
I think about the filter. Our dog has a little water thing my sister gave him, and it's got a filter in it. And interesting enough, when the filter is starting to get clogged, like when it's collecting stuff, even though we use filtered water putting into it, it'll start being louder when we're, and that's our sign. The the water fountain is being loud. We need to change the filter. And I just thought about that. It's kind of like funny, because when you open it up, you can see the little black stuff that it's collected in it, and that's from filtered water.
That's from filtered water, exactly. So there's three components actually to the filter that we have. First one is our emotions. That's our feelings, the God-given feelings that he gives to us. Then we have experiences. Oh, do we have experiences? They're past experiences, maybe good, maybe bad, but we do have those experiences.
Absolutely.
You know, and then we have assumptions. You know, what are they? What are the words they're trying to make say, basically, and what is their tone of voice? What's the motives behind the assumptions?
We're assuming what they're saying.
Assuming what they're saying.
Like that tone. I know that tone.
That's right. Right.
You know, so we talked about the emotions and the experiences and the assumptions. We're going to give you some examples of how that plays out in everyday life for couples. So we're going to start with the emotions first, which is what we're feeling right now. So let's say we have a husband come home from work and he sees dishes in the sink and he says, "Hey, babe, are we doing dishes after dinner?" Well, what she hears, because she's been at home with 3 kids all day, very overwhelmed, very depleted, tired, exhaustion. What she hears is, "You've been at home all day. Why haven't you done the dishes?" Now, that's not what he said. So her response is, "I've been taking care of kids all day. I'm sorry I didn't get your dishes done." Little jab there, that must mean they were his dishes that he put in the sink. What he actually meant, though, he said, "I'm just asking if we're tackling them before dinner or we're going to do it together after dinner." He was trying to find out, did I need to go on and get started on the dishes? But because her exhaustion filtered his neutral question into criticism.
That's right.
That is such an everyday occurrence. So I want you to think about, oh, my spouse has a filter. Oh, I have a filter. It's not just he has a filter. I have a filter too. This is so impactful because it's putting language to things that we've already known, but it puts it in a different light and brings it to an aha moment.
Yeah, and that just lends me into experiences, because our emotions really have to do with our experiences. What we've experienced, there's emotions attached to those experiences many times. So, experiences are what we've been through. For example, past experiences, like I alluded to, or there might be a painful experience. It really shapes how your spouse interprets about what you're saying.
True.
Is your past experiences. For example, the wife might say, I think we should sit down and talk about finances.
Yeah, that's another fun subject.
Wow. And the husband filter is thinking, okay, he grew up poor maybe, and money was scarcity because he didn't have enough. Okay. So his experience with money is basically feeling shame.
Oh yeah.
Just less
enough.
than, not having enough of any money. So the husband hears, I'm not providing very well enough. I'm failing as a husband. But his response is, we're fine. I make good money. So, what's to worry about?
Right.
What's to worry about? What she actually meant was, I want us to sit down and have a financial conversation, okay, to look at our goals and see how we can progress in the future.
Yeah.
See how much different that is?
Right.
So
the last one is the assumptions of what we think they mean, right? So this isn't truth, but we hear it as truth.
Right.
So it's the story that our spouse creates in their mind about our motives, intentions, and meaning behind our words. So let's say a husband says to his wife, hey, why don't we start working out together? Well, the wife's filter is assuming he thinks I'm overweight, he's not attracted to me anymore, and he thinks getting me in the gym with him is going to make me a nicer looking wife. So what's really happening is she is feeling insecure, compared, and inadequate. So she says, why? Am I not skinny enough for you? Is there something wrong with the way I look? I don't look like the other wives. Well, that's just coming from that insecurity and so forth. What he actually meant is, I would love to go explore working out together. I need some accountability. I want to get in the gym, and it would be some time that we could spend together. But she assumed his desire for becoming healthier meant dissatisfaction with her physical appearance. That's not what it meant. He simply was saying, hey, why don't we try something new? Let's work out together. But because we assume, which we all have assumed things, think about your own marriage, your own conversations, about your own emotions that we talked about, how if you're exhausted or you're fearful or you're not feeling well, that's an emotion of just being unhealthy, like physically unhealthy, right? I'm not feeling. Think about how those have played into your conversations, your past experiences, maybe with the past, an ex, even an ex-boyfriend or an ex-spouse. Think about how those come into play in a marriage relationship, and then just the things we're assuming because of some of our emotions of insecurity and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So it's so important to recognize your own filter. What does my filter look like? What does your filter look like? And it's important to just ask yourself questions. We call them self-awareness questions.
Sure.
And that might be, what are my emotions feeling right now? Am I tired? Am I stressed? Am I having a bad day because of this? Is the traffic crazy? Whatever it is, it's important to ask your own questions.
Sure.
And then, of course, past experiences can trigger me. Something maybe that happened bad in the past, and you bring it up, it can trigger me.
Right.
For not me even realizing what's going on, because it's an unconscious trigger.
Right.
We have those unconscious triggers, and then we have those conscious triggers.
Well, it's not even bringing up the past experience. It's something similar to it.
Could be very similar.
And that triggers you.
Yep. And so have I asked my spouse clarifying questions? Or am I just reacting to assumptions? The busier we get in life, the more we tend to react to questions or react to our spouse in a not so nice way.
Absolutely. It reminds me of James 1:19. Be slow to speak, quick to listen, slow to anger. this is helping us be slow to speak as we learn about filters, as we learn about our own filter. And also it's important to recognize our spouse's filter, not to judge and not to blame, but to have better communication between the two of us. So listen for their emotional cues. Are they responding to your actual words or how they're feeling? What about their experiential triggers? What in their past might this be triggering? We can think this, I know him pretty well. I can recognize if something is triggering, but I have to be intentional and desire to do that to make communication flow better. What about their assumption patterns? Are they hearing criticism when you're offering help? A lot of people may have been raised with a critical parent, not intentionally, but they're always trying to strive. I know that I came from a spirit of perfectionism. My mom was perfection. I was perfection. So always trying to help other people be better can also come across as it's never enough. So it's real easy for someone to have an experiential trigger. That's a tough word. Experiential trigger with hearing things as criticism. So again, this is something we're trying to do, that we are improving our communication. And for those of you that are like, I don't have time for this, I'm going to push back and say, you don't not have time for this, because I guarantee you the conflict you're going to get in for the filters that we're not dealing with is going to last way longer than what we're talking about.
That's right. And it's so important to get curious about your spouse's filter. What does her filter look like? And in situations where your spouse is defensive, because that's going to come up. Okay. Instead of, why are you being so sensitive in this situation? You might ask, it seems like what I said hit you hard. What did you hear me say? So just clarifying questions, taking the time instead of reacting, but taking the time to ask, summarizing what she said, or tell me what is said clearly. How about when they withdraw? Instead of, fine, don't talk to me.
Oh, you
I don't
never
hear
said that.
I don't want to hear that. Don't talk to me. Try this. I can tell you shut down. What filter is my comment going through right now? Question is, what are you feeling? What are you feeling in that situation? How about this? When they overreact, because a lot of times we overreact to situations. Instead of, you overreacting, get over it. Try response as feeling bigger than what I said. What does the situation remind you of?
Yeah. The response feels bigger than what you actually said. That's like a real clue. The magic question that he said was at the beginning. What did you hear me say? Write that down.
That's right.
What did you hear me say? And then listen. Don't assume. Listen, because often what they heard is not what you said. So if we would just get to the point to where when we have someone withdrawing or getting defensive or overreacting and saying, what did you hear me say? That right there could help us out tremendously. Now, this is only going to help out the couple that really is trying to make headway in their communication and trying to have an easier, smooth road of communication than one that has a bunch of boulders and rocks and stubble and not a smooth pathway. Another thing is we need to learn to clean our own filter before we go into hard conversations, important conversations. We need to do an emotional check, an experience check, and also an assumption check, because we can offset something if we recognize, I wanted to have a conversation about finances, but I'm realizing that I'm coming and approaching it from a scarcity mindset. And so I need to pull back from that and understand that I know that we're in this together and we want to work as a team and move our finances in a right direction and in just more teamwork, and that we are going to do a great job at that. But just recognizing I wanted to have this conversation, but I realized before I even go into it, I'm feeling myself like, we don't have enough. We don't have enough. We're never going to have enough. It's never enough. See, that's that scarcity mindset from that childhood coming up.
Yeah.
So just recognizing that and trying to shut that down, or hold on the conversation if you can, until you realize we're at a different spot.
Yeah, you know, and it's so important to clarify our intent up front. Get those filters out of my mind in the name of Jesus, and out of her mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Get those particulate matters, as we just discussed earlier. It's so
You mean
important.
I have a filter?
Yeah, well, we don't have filters. It's so important to state your intention up front prior to the conversation
that is
taking
very
place.
Helpful.
So important to do that. Okay. So even before feedback. Okay. I'm about to give you some feedback, but I want you to know my intention is to help us grow, not to criticize you. That would be an example.
Ooh. So if I said that to you, how would that help you? If I was going to give an area of growth for you, how would that help you?
That would help me to listen better. That would help me not to react in that situation, because it's much more conversational. It's not, I wouldn't be on the defensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's huge, because we can attack one another, and then immediately that person's going to be on the defensive.
Sure.
You know, it
sure.
just happens. Also, clarify intent before a request. So, example, I'm going to ask you something. I want you to know that it's not because you're failing. It's just something that I need to know. Okay, just something that I need to know.
Something
and then
that I need to know, or like a need, because you know
something-
sometimes when I think
Something I
we're
need
on
to
a
tell you.
pathway of healing,
Yep.
we start to learn maybe we do have needs
Yeah.
that we didn't know before. And so it's not saying that someone is failing if you all of a sudden start growing and learning something about yourself. And now you want to share that with your spouse. So that's a great way to say it's like, it's not because you're failing, it's just something I need. And if your spouse is on it, hopefully we're all on a pathway of healing and growing and developing, because the bottom line is we all need healing, growing, and developing. And we will until we meet Jesus. We're human. We're never going to have all this done.
Right. And how about this one? This is so, I mean, you know, all these four are very important. The fourth one's, I'll get to just a bit, but this one I think is really, really critical. And that's before having the hard conversation. Because once you set the tone of the conversation, it's going to be much better, instead of just blasting and going, you know, the tongue's going a million miles an hour, and you just react, you're not thinking about what you said. So example of this before having that conversation would be, we need to talk about something difficult. My goal is for us to understand each other better. Understand each other better, not criticize or this or that, but understand each other better, and not to win the argument or make you feel bad. It's not a win the argument. It's simply understanding each other, not to win the argument, and which allows us to make us feel better.
Oh, and that's really, really
That's
good.
huge.
Because, you know, I think about if I win and you're losing, or you're winning and I'm losing, our marriage
stopped.
loses.
Yeah, that
So our
conversation
marriage
is stopped.
But we have got to a point in our marriage where we want our marriage to win. And it takes a lot of growth. It takes a lot of humility. Takes a lot of intentionality. And it is possible to get to that point. That doesn't mean we're floating on the air with little halos and there's nothing wrong. What it does mean is when you can get marriage focused and Christ focused instead of me focused, you're going to see some changes. And this is a great way of doing it, saying, I want to win together.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
And the last point for clarifying intent is simply, before saying no, say this: I'm about to say something, okay? And I need you to hear about what I'm going to say, okay? Not about what's important to me, but it's about your self-awareness. Basically, it's the capacity of your self-awareness that we have. Okay?
So saying you don't have the capacity.
That's correct.
So that makes a lot of sense, because when we do become more self-aware and we do realize that we have certain amount of capacity, and then when it's used, we're kaput. That's really helpful to tell your spouse. It's not about not wanting to do it with you or you, but it's about me not having the capacity.
That's right.
I think that's super helpful.
Yeah.
Now, I would also say, though, if you're a spouse and you have a spouse that continues to say, I don't have the capacity for this with you, and I don't have the capacity for this, and there seems to never be any capacity, then we might need to look at what's taking the capacity and see if our priorities are in alignment, because we definitely have room for not having the capacity, and not all the time though. So I think that's really important.
You might want to call a timeout. Okay. You may want to call a timeout if they don't have a capacity up front, maybe there's 15, 20 minutes later, and then you get back together and have the conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe that, might help out the conversation.
Right. Depending on what that capacity is, that could be.
Yep.
We all have filters. We all have wounds. We all have been hurt. And we all carry experiences. We all have assumptions. Because we're human. And we're never going to get away from being human. Jesus doesn't have communication through a filter with us. He knows our wounds, our hurts, our every fears. And he still speaks truth directly to our hearts. We're striving to be like that. And we recognize we have these filters. But as we heal in Jesus, our past hurts lose their power, and we learn to manage our emotions. We give others the benefit of the doubt because we've been given grace. And the grace tool in the marriage pouch is should be the most used tool at all times. Giving grace, remembering we both speak through filters and listen through filters. You speak through a filter, you listen through a filter. So we need to extend grace to our spouse as we want them to extend grace to us. The golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do to you. Marriage also sanctifies us by exposing our filters and inviting us to heal and grow and develop. This is the most intimate relationship we're going to have on this earth. So it's so important that we understand it's getting us ready to meet Jesus Christ. And remember this communication, it is so important for everything. If you're struggling in communication, you're going to struggle in other areas because you have to communicate about how you're getting along. You have to communicate about finances. You have to communicate about parenting. You have to communicate about intimacy. You've got to communicate about every area of life to make any progress or to know where you're at. So we want to get to the point where our communication is flowing easier on a smoother pathway. And knowing these filters, knowing this concept, is a tremendous start and headway on a right pathway.
That's right. And the goal is to not eliminate filters because that's impossible. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. True. But the goal is to, number one, recognize that we have them.
Right.
We all have those filters. And then also name them, name them when they're active. Okay. If there's a past experience or situations you have that's an active filter in your mind and you can't get rid of it, name it, and ask for God to renew your mind and get rid of that filter, whatever that might be, and then clean them regularly with healing and growth. That might be going through some education, maybe some counseling, some therapy, coaching, and then just simply communicate with awareness of both filters in your conversation.
That's true.
We all have filters in our conversation.
That's true. So. We're going to leave you with this. Remember, you're never talking to your spouse.
No.
You're talking to their filter. And your spouse is never talking to you. They're talking to your filter.
Right.
Once we understand this, it frees us to be able to stop blaming each other and start moving toward working together in this communication, being more open, transparent, and vulnerable in our communication. Yep. We know that this teaching has the potential of making tremendous impact on your communication.
Yes, it does.
You've received the teaching, so it just is really going to depend on what you want to do with it. We're here to help you. If you ever need any more marriage encouragement or you need marriage coaching, go straight to heartbuilder.org. We are there ready to help you.
And remember, you say I do.
And we are here to help you stay I do.